is kind of like the head pastor. So you know that you have Father Brian, who is the pastor for this congregation, and there are about 180 Episcopal churches in eastern Massachusetts. And so the bishop has the joy and privilege of overseeing all of those 180 and visiting them and being the pastor to the pastors. So the pastors and their families have the bishop as the head pastor. So that's what I get to do. Hi, good morning. So there are, you might have noticed a couple things when I came in this morning that are symbols or representations that let you know, just like Brian wears a funny collar, right, during the week, or when he's in church he has those two stoles, and those are the signs to you that he's the priest for the congregation, or the pastor. And there are a couple of signs about the role that I have as bishop. And one of them is this stick, right? Does anyone know what this is called?
A crozier.
A crozier, or a staff, sometimes it's called, or sometimes a crook. It's got 3 different names. What does it look like? Do you know of anyone in stories that you've read? Probably you don't see them out on the streets in Burlington, but in stories that you've read maybe, who carries a stick like this? Anybody?
Shepherds.
Shepherd, right. In the stories about the shepherds, especially the stories that when we read probably at Christmas time. We just had Christmas not long ago, so we poinsettias. So Christmas stories, right, there were shepherds. And the shepherd carried a stick like this, because if the sheep needed to move a certain direction, the shepherd could maybe give them a little poke. Or if the sheep was going off stray, maybe there was a cliff over there, and the shepherd didn't want the sheep to fall over, the shepherd could take that hook and grab the sheep by the neck. Right? So this funny stick is a sign of a shepherd who would look after his sheep and care for them. And in the Bible it says that Jesus is like that for us, a special shepherd. And so the bishop gets to carry a stick like this to remind me and you, that part of the role or the job of the bishop is being a shepherd, is helping look after all the people in our diocese, in our church around eastern Massachusetts, and as I mentioned, especially with the other pastors. So that's a sign of the bishop as a shepherd. And then the other thing, what did you notice that was funny about the bishop walking down the aisle that you don't see, even in the pageant? Anyone? A funny hat, right? A funny hat. Call it a mitre. I heard someone say the word. So this is that funny hat that I was wearing. Ever seen him with a hat like that? Out on the streets of Burlington, in the mall? No? Probably not. All right. So it's a very unusual thing in the church. And the shape of the hat is supposed to remind us of a story from the Bible about early on in the life of the church. There was a special holiday called Pentecost, and it was a day when the people were still kind of unsure about how they were going to follow Jesus after he wasn't with them anymore. And he had told them that when he wasn't with them anymore, he would send his Spirit. And so on this day called Pentecost, God's Spirit came in a special way to give the people strength and guidance. And according to the story, there were 2 ways that the people knew that the Spirit had come and landed on Jesus' followers, the disciples. And one was they heard a loud noise. Can you make a noise like a wind? Try it. Good. So they heard a noise like a wind. That's how they knew that the Spirit was coming. And the other way they knew was that they saw something that looked like flames of fire on the heads of the disciples, right? They didn't really have flames on their heads, but it was just a way of imagining that the warmth and the glow of God's Spirit was coming to those people. So the funny hat is supposed to be shaped like a flame, all right? To remind us that in the church, God's Spirit comes. So it might be a bit of a stretch, all right? But that's the symbolism, right? It's not supposed to symbolize burnout. It's supposed to symbolize the gift of the Holy Spirit, like a flame of God's, the warmth and the power of God's Spirit. So that's the shape of the hat. So the last thing I want to say about the hat. You all are pretty young. We've got a young crew of children today. So you might not yet probably haven't read it. There's a story out there called Harry Potter that lots of kids know, and lots of grown-up kids know too. Dan, can I have that other hat? So in the story about Harry Potter, as some of the adults and older kids will know, there is a special hat in that story too, right? What is it, do you know?
The sorting hat.
Sorting hat, right? And the sorting hat, when kids arrive at this school, the sorting hat goes over their heads and tells them which of the houses in that school will be their home, will be their house, right? So the hat goes over their head, and the hat thinks about this person and says, Gryffindor, right? Or Slytherin, or yeah, all of them, there's four, right? So here in the church, we have a sorting hat. And you don't need to put it on, you can if you want. But we'll hold it over your heads. And the sorting hat will tell us what house you belong in. And what we know about the church is that every one of us belongs in God's house. Right? That's where we're welcome. That's where our family is. And so the sorting hat's going to go over your head, and we'll say, where do you belong? And then all of us will answer the question, in God's house. Right? Are we ready? Okay, who do we have here?
This is Tristan.
Hi, Tristan. Hey, buddy. All right. Sorting hat, where do you belong?
In God's house.
Excellent. Hi, what's your name? Julia? Hi, Julia. You want to put it on? You want to put it on yourself? Here, I'll put it on you. Okay. Special hat. Where does Julia belong?
In God's house.
Excellent. Turn and face the camera so you can see how good that hat. She's got a vocation. All right.
It's a sage.
Hi, Sage. Do you want it on or just over you? Just over. Okay. This is Sage. And where does Sage belong?
In God's house.
Great. Are we up for this? Maybe. Okay. Hi, what's your name? Hi, William. Great name, my brother William. You want to put this on? Do you? No. All right. We'll just put it over. Just over your head. Is that all right? This is William, and where does he belong?
In God's house.
No, they're all 380.
Yeah.
Oh, we missed somebody? Yes, no? No. What's his name? Dennis. Where does Dennis belong?
In God's house.
Great. Well, I'm happy to be with you. I'll see you later at lunchtime. And now you know a little bit about the sick and the funny hat that a bishop wears. Rumor has it you might be making some funny hats. So we'll see. We'll see later. All right, thanks.